The Apostle Paul writes in 2 Corinthians 12:7, "And lest I should be exalted above measure through the abundance of the revelation that was given to me, a thorn in the flesh, the messenger of Satan to buffet me, lest I should be exalted above measure." Brother Branham was bothered by a severe stomach ailment that would return to him every 7 years, and 1965 was the next year for this unpleasant illness. In September of that year, God declared through a vision that the squirrel-like animal that represented what was inside tearing up his stomach was only 6 inches long. That meant it would affect him only 6 times. The 7th time should have come sometime later that same year. However, on September 20th, 1965, a voice spoke to Brother Branham saying, "Go to the Catalina Mountains." When he climbed the trail, he found a dead squirrel-like animal impaled on a cactus. It looked exactly like the one he had seen in the vision. Then the voice of the Lord declared, "Your enemy is dead." The following day, the prophet made 2 striking discoveries.
When Brother Branham was here, he tells on tape that he was bare-chested, right? He didn't have a shirt on, and he was hiking, and he got hot, and he leaned against the rock like this because the rocks are cool. So he's cooling himself on the rock, and a voice spoke to him and said, "What are you leaning against?" And he pushed himself back, and right here was the word eagle, somewhere here. Now, eagle, and then he looks up and he sees that Eagle Rock.
That morning I got up after seeing this vision, obeyed the Lord. I took my little boy Joseph to school. He's listening to me now in Tucson. I took him to school, told me that I didn't know when I'd be back. And I took off up into Catalina, up into the foothills. And went up into the place where the angel of the Lord put the sword in my hand real early. And started climbing up the mountain. Well, instead of going up in the peaks this way, which is a lot of snakes, scorpions, you know how Arizona is, I turned to my right. Something said, "Turn to your right." I went way into the peaks. I went around, and I was going around those great, huge rocks, many times bigger than this tabernacle, laying up in them tops there where seldom ever a person could get. Along about 11 o'clock, I was going into a little cold, backwards, a little place turned in like this, over a little deer trail. And I had my shirt off, my hat in my hand because I was just lathering with sweat. And so I turned in there, and as I turned in that little cove, I felt the presence of the Lord. I jerked off my hat and looked around. Oh, He's here somewhere. I know He's here. Oh, what is it? I made a few more steps. I said, "Lord, You're here somewhere." I looked in on the path, and there lay that little squirrel, had jumped at something and missed it, and it hit a bunch of cholla, that's jumping cactus. It ran through his head, chest, stomach, and he was dead. That odd-looking little squirrel, he had missed my mouth and hit that cholla. And the voice of the Lord said, "Your enemy is dead." I stood there, I trembled. I took the foot back. Usually crows would have eat it up. I killed a snake a couple of days later there and laid on the road about a half hour. There's always eagles and crows flying through there. They'll pick it up right now. I killed a coral snake. That's the most dangerous snake we got. Laying right beside me a few days after that. I started to come back to pick it up to show it. Crows had done got it. Ravens passing over. And that had been laying there ever since I'd seen the vision 2 days before. It was on Saturday and I went up there on Monday. So there he was laying on there dead. I mashed it with my foot. I went back around, sat down again, sat there and cried a while and prayed, looking down over Tucson, miles below me. Turned back around and come back and still laid there. When I entered that cold, the Spirit of God come on me again. I went on around, went down the mountain, went in and told my wife, I said, "Honey, I don't know how, but I'm going to get over this." Dr. Ravensworth, when he gave me the examination, he said, "It's totally impossible for you to be well." He gave me a shot of Pentothal that was to last me for 5 minutes, and I slept 10 hours. So that stuff, even aspirin just knocks me out. So he gave me a shot, put that tube down the throat. When I come to and he told me next morning, he said, Reverend, I hate to tell you this, but said your stomach walls are even so hard they're dried up. I never seen it. He used the name of gastritis, and I went and looked in the dictionary, and it said something is withered away. It said you can't get over it. It said you'll always have it. And I would have been a discouraged boy if it hadn't been for the vision of the Lord. And the next day something said, go back to the mountain. And that day, instead of going one way, I was led to go another way. And I was standing there, and looking, sitting in front of me, and there sat that seventh little white dove, looking right at me. I rubbed my eyes. I said, surely it's a vision. Surely it is. I looked and I said, little dove, where do you come from? Just as pretty and white. Could have been a pigeon. Whatever it was away in that wilderness. God Almighty, who raised up Jesus Christ from the dead, whose servant I am, His word laying here open before me, know that I tell the truth and lie not. There sat the dove, sitting there looking at me. I walked around, I thought, surely it's a vision. I turned my head, looked back, and there he sat there, them little white wings, just as snowy as he could be, his little yellow feet and little yellow beak, sitting there looking at me, he's watching right straight westward. I walked around him like I wouldn't touch him for nothing. I walked on up the trail, looked back, there he still sat watching me. Brother, as a son of Abraham, I consider not what the doctor told me. I'm going to be well anyhow. The third day I went back. I was climbing up high. Many of you know the vision about the Indian chief riding that little wall to the west. Something attracted me all to a big rock. About noontime, said, lay your hands against that and pray. God in heaven knows this is truth. I laid my hands against the rock and looked up towards heaven and started praying. I heard a voice coming out of the top of the rock there. Said, what are you leaning against over your heart? I raised back like this, my bare shoulders naked from the waist up, hot. I looked back, and there was wrote in the quartz, in the stone, white eagle. Just exactly what the vision said that the next message would come forth by. I was so excited, I run home, got a camera, and come back the next day and took the picture of it. It was still there. Wrote in the rock, white eagle. Dove leading eagle. Somehow, I know, I tell you before it happens, the doctor's a good doctor, no doubt. I think he's a fine man. But I know I'm going to be over it. It's done, it's finished, and I'm going to be well. I was thinking as Ernie sang that song a few moments ago, On the Wings of a Dove. How is the melody to that? Sorry for me, Ernie.